Sorry, go on.
What do you mean by Islamist violence?
So, Islamist violence. I'm talking about groups of Muslims who take Islamic teaching seriously and then apply it with violence. So they are motivated, they are animated by Islamic teachings to invade and attack other lands and then oppress Christians. Well, you can just read what they say themselves. So when in this, so when you read classical tasfir like Ibn Kathir and Tamir and I mean there's others but I can't remember their names. When you read classical Muslim tasfir on verses to do with jihad, they believed that it was a religious duty to wage war against the unbeliever. That's what Muslim classical interpreters say.
Why
Because that's what they believed Islam teaches.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
That is what they do.
We fight against
that is
evil.
what they do.
We fight against
your
evil.
own conclusion
God
and
is
come
against
back.
evil. You think you have to love evil? If evil is there, anybody must.
I've just taken right. So the Quran gives this instruction. Do you know what the Quran says in Surah 9:37?
Somebody is evil.
I know, 929.
Yeah, maybe it's 9:29. It says fight against the unbelievers until so
There is a hadith as well where the Prophet Muhammad says if you meet the disbelievers, ask them for free.
yeah.
Islam for jizya or so the Muslims, which I agree with you, but the question is why they do it.
I've already explained. Well, I believe that they're following what the Quran teaches. But my point to you is, here's my point. They, by their own writings, admit that that's what they're doing. Ibn Kathir and Tamir and the others, they say that in their tasfir, right? But my point to you is, are we right to fight back against that kind of aggression? Should we fight back? Do Christians have the right to fight back? Bob,
Why Muslims? Why?
I've answered this question.
Because the Quran told them that.
That's exactly what the Quran is. And it's not only the Quran, it's also Muhammad's own example. No, so it's also Muhammad's example. So Muhammad himself waged war against the pagans in Mecca because he believed that that's what Islam teaches. So the problem is Islam. The root is Islam.
The Muslims provided disbelievers.
Yes. Yeah, it's literally what it says in 929.
What did Islam say about disbelievers?
What, sorry?
What did Islam say about disbelievers?
It says that they should be fought. It says other things as well.
Are they good people or bad people?
It depends which surah of the ayah you read.
No.
It depends which part of the Quran you read. The Quran has different things. But my point to you is that as a Christian, I don't believe that I should have to take that. I believe as a Christian that it isn't loving for me to allow my brothers and sisters to be persecuted by that ideology, and that I should oppose that ideology and oppose militants of that ideology.
You agree that the military intervention or...
You what, sorry?
Do you agree with military intervention or economic sanction, like the West, for example, if they sanction a country?
Yes, I believe in military intervention.
So you agree with military intervention?
Yes.
And do the people have right to defend if military intervention? Or not?
Yes, of course. People have a right to defend themselves. Right, so, but the point is, on what grounds do we do military intervention?
Despite justice, let's say despite justice.
Right?
Yeah,
Let's talk about, let's use the Crusades as our example.
I'm not really good in that because I didn't study the Crusades. I know that they went to Jerusalem
Yeah.
and they massacred a lot, to be honest.
No, actually, that's a myth. That's a myth. That's not support. Real historians don't believe that happened. They believe that it was a case of Christian historians exaggerating. Christian commentators were exaggerating. Well, because historians have a science by which they try to understand what happened in history, and real historians of the Crusades don't believe that massacre at Jerusalem occurred. There were massacres, there's no getting around it. But Muslims also have massacred people, right? But the point is, Muslims massacre people and it follows Muhammad's example, because Muhammad allowed a massacre of the Jews of the Kaaba. Do you know what happened to the Jews of the Kaaba?
They
were massacred.
They were massacred and
they were taken as war. Right.
But why?
But Jesus, I'm not interested in defending Muhammad's crimes. What I'm pointing out to you is that Muslims, when they do these crimes, are following Muhammad. But a Christian you can't show me a verse in the Bible that justifies me massacring you.
Well, for example, the New Testament, I think, supports slavery. The New Testament didn't ban slavery. And the atheists, for example, they will say the same thing about Christianity. They say, why did Jesus not ban slavery?
I just want to show you, as well as Street Mike, that I'm not making this up. I'm going to quote.
I'm not against what you're saying.
I'm going to quote Ibn Kathir. This is Ibn Kathir's Tafsir on 9:29. This is what he says. Allah commanded his messenger to fight the people of the scripture, Jews and Christians, on the 9th year of Hijrah. And he prepared his army to fight the Romans and called the people to jihad, announcing his intent and destination. Ibn Juzay also states in his Tafsir, says the verse is a command to fight the people of the book because they claim Allah has a son. So your classical commentators are saying that the verse Surah 9:29 is about fighting Christians because they're Christians. I'm quoting your own classical commentators here.
I am not against that. I didn't say you are wrong or you are lying. I didn't say that. Yeah, that's true, the verse you read.
Yeah.
But what did Islam says about people who believes that God has son?
What, sorry?
What did Islam says about disbelievers?
Well, so let's try and move the conversation forward, because before we do, I actually would like you to answer my question. Can Christians fight against jihadis? Would you agree that Christians can fight against Islamic supremacism?
As a Muslim, if Muslims they invade a country or there is a Muslim Christian country or whatever to spread Islam, I am with it. I support it 100%.
There you go. So there you got it on camera. If Muslims invade Christian lands to spread Islam, he is in favor of it.
I am with it.
There you go. And these are the kind of Islamist dogs that we face in the park, their Islamist ideology, and you should be opposed. I think you should be deported from the country.
So I don't. No right to freedom of religion.
Yeah, you shouldn't be here. You should be forced to leave.
No
my country will be better without you in it, and I think you should be expelled from the country.
So I have no right to believe.
If it was up to me, you would not have the right to be here.
Do I have a right to believe whatever I want or not?
You don't. If it was up to me, you would not have the right to be here because of your beliefs.
So what's the difference between you and the Islamists?
Right. Here's the difference. Is that you have said on camera that if Muslims invade Christian lands to spread Islam, you're 100% in favor of it. I would never say that. That's the difference between the two of us. I would never say that Christians should invade Muslim land to spread Christianity. I would never say that. However, I would say that if Islamists like you are persecuting Christians and the way to protect Christians is to invade Muslim lands, then we should do that.
No, I'm not saying that it's okay to persecute Christians.
Well, you just did.
No, I say if they want to spread Islam, that's what Islam says anyway. The verse you read.
Exactly. Well, there's no dispute. I've won the argument.
I'm not saying that, but if you said that you should not believe in here, that means you are against freedom of religion.
I am against freedom of your religion. Yes.
So what's the difference between an Islamist?
Right. The difference is that if you were saying this bullshit back in Mecca, I'd let you do it.
What do you mean?
Like I think, let's be clear. I think the British government should kick you out of this country. If you have citizenship, the British government should remove your citizenship.
You believe that?
I think no more. I haven't finished. I also think that you should be sacked from your job. I also think if you have any children, they should be taken away from you. And I also think that your marriage should be annulled, you should be kicked out of your country, and your wife should be left destitute, and your children taken into custody and raised as Christians or Jews. That's what I think.
Because they believe this.
Because you believe that what you believe.
Okay, so what's the difference between the Islamists?
Right, so the difference between there you go. The difference between the Islamist and me is that if you were teaching that bullshit in the Muslim world, I wouldn't invade your country to make you a Christian. but you believe in invading Christian countries to make them Muslim.
The Islamists, they believe that your belief is a bullshit. That's what they believe.
Yes, but again, you've not heard it, have you? I don't believe in invading Muslim lands to make people Christian. You believe in invading Christian lands to make them Christian.
I don't believe that God had a son, and you believe God had a son, because you believe that invading someone's country is a crime, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that anyone believes God had a son is a crime.
Unless it's justified, unless it is justified.
Justified by what standard?
Right. Well, let's hold on 1 second. So let's have that conversation. Where's my Bible? Bear with me 1 second. Can I get my Bible? Thank you very much. Right. So the Islamist has laid out his position. I've laid out what I think should happen to the Islamist. There is no dispute about the Quran teaching violent jihad. There's no argument here. He agrees that I'm right in my
I
representation of.
mean, the verse is very clear.
Yes. Yes. So that means. So there you go, brothers and sisters. This is the mindset we're up against. This is why you need a muscular Christianity, because liberal secularism is not dealing with this guy. He's here preaching that bullshit, and he's not. The police aren't going to do anything to him, even though he's on camera, even though thousands of you will see it. He will not be arrested. Nothing will happen to him. But in a muscular Christian state, those very words would have meant his deportation. It would have meant his children being taken off him. It would have meant the confiscation of all of his property. It would have meant that his wife would be left here and he would be kicked out.
Would that happen in Poland?
I don't see any difference between
The reason why Poland doesn't have an Islamist problem is because they don't have enough Muslims to have an Islamist problem. Yes, of course.
I don't see any difference between you and Islamists, to be honest. I don't see any difference between you and the verse you read.
Yeah.
Because you don't allow me to believe whatever I want.
Yeah, I don't want you to believe whatever you want.
So what do you have problem with Islamists if they don't allow you to believe whatever you want?
Because I wouldn't invade your lands to make you believe what I believe, but you would invade mine.
But you stop me for believing whatever I want.
Agreed, because your beliefs are dangerous.
And Islamists, they believe your belief is dangerous as well.
Right, so now let's talk about that.
Do you agree that your belief is dangerous?
No, absolutely not.
I don't believe
the
my belief is dangerous.
The source, yes, but your beliefs result in war. Your beliefs result in the persecution of the church. Your beliefs result in the invasion of lands that aren't your own. It results in theft. And Jesus said, you will know them by their fruits.
Yeah, but your belief is against Allah, is against Islam.
Right, so
I can say that's a crime.
So let me ask you this question. Right, in Surah 43:81 it says this.
Which verse?
Surah 43:81.
I'm not really an expert in that, so.
Okay, that's fine.
I would agree with the verse. I will agree with
Well,
the
let's think about what it says. It says this. Say, if Allah the Most Gracious had a son, I would be the first to worship. So this is Allah saying to Muhammad, say these words. Right?
Which verse?
This is Surah 43:81. You got it on camera. We have a problem in the UK with Islamists who support violent jihad.
Which one say?
So Surah...
Well, all the Muslims are supporting jihad, not just me.
No, not all of them do. I've met Muslims that don't support violent jihad. I've met Muslims.
How can you be Muslim and you just support that?
Well, it's a great question. It's a great question. It's a great question.
The verse you read is very clear.
And you know what it shows to me? It shows me that there are some Muslims who are better than Islam. And those are the kind of Muslims that I can live with. So when you go away from today, you've got to remember that I'm not against all Muslims. I'm just against you and Muslims like you.
Because of my belief.
Yes. And I believe...
So like ISIS, they are against you because of your belief?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so why are you blaming them then?
Because your beliefs result in murder and theft and war and destruction.
I don't believe it's murder and destruction.
So when you're stealing someone else's land,
I don't believe
is that not theft?
I don't believe it's
And there you go. So let's come back to this, Faith.
Which
Let's come back to what
which chapter?
Surah 43:81. Say, if Allah the Most Gracious had a son,
81.
Yes. Say, if Allah the Most Gracious had a son, I would be the first to worship. So that's Allah telling Muhammad to say something.
So let me see. Ibn Kathir. And what's the point?
So here's my question. Obviously, Allah's only giving a hypothetical situation. The point of the verse is to say that Allah doesn't have a son. But every word that Allah speaks must be true. So therefore, he's saying that if he was to have a son, that son would be worthy of worship. So my question is, what in this hypothetical situation, what quality does the son have that makes him worthy of worship?
I'm reading the book here because I told you I'm not an expert in.
Yep.
So يقول
Are you reading the tafsir?
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, because one tafsir is not enough for me.
I've already read the tafsir. I could tell you what the tafsir is.
I have to check a scholar what he says about the tafsir.
Yeah.
So this one probably is gonna be my homework.
So
it's gonna be my homework.
But I just want you to think logically, right? The Quran has given, Allah himself has given the hypothetical.
I told you, this is my homework.
But what quality would the son have making him worthy of worship?
I cannot give you answer because I have to make my homework. I told you, I have to read the tafsir, and I have to read tafsir from a scholar of today. So I check, maybe next week if I come back, if I'm here, if they didn't deport me, as you're saying.
Well, I hope they do.
Yeah?
I genuinely hope they do.
Then you are against freedom of religion.
Against your religion and the way you interpret it, absolutely.
I'm against your religion as well.
Yeah, and this is the point that people need to realize is that your beliefs are dangerous and we shouldn't tolerate them.
And then you shouldn't have a problem with Islamists when they
invading Christian lands. Yeah, I've got a problem with that because that results in Christians getting killed.
No,
and it results in Christians getting enslaved.
No, there is jizya.
No, it result. Do you think if you're going to invade someone's land that they're not going to fight back?
They will.
And do you not think that there will be civilians that are collateral damage in that war?
Could, yeah.
Right, so people are going to get killed then if people follow your beliefs, aren't they?
Yeah, but
and in Islam, do you not enslave people as war booty if you win the war?
That's true. Yeah.
Right, so your beliefs result in war, theft, kidnap.
I don't believe that.
Yes.
I don't believe it's a kidnap.
Yes.
I don't believe it's a kidnap. I don't believe it's a theft. I believe this is war spoil.
Yeah.
Which is even the Bible actually referred to it. If you read the Old Testament, there is war spoils. That's a punishment.
No, you see, the thing is, you don't understand much about my religion, I can tell. What do you, when a Christian says we believe that God has a son, what do you think we mean?
I don't know.
Okay, that's better than your Quran, because your Quran doesn't know either.
When you say that it's theft, kidnap, I don't believe it's theft. I don't believe it's a kidnap.
So when
let's say when the United States invaded Iraq or invaded Afghanistan, because of certain things.
Was that wrong?
Well, if they follow what the Geneva Convention says about the rules of war, and they
which include not kidnapping and enslaving people.
Yeah, but the American soldiers, they did, if you know.
Right, but is it wrong?
According to the United Nations, it's wrong. Yeah.
So, no, I'm not asking what the United Nations think, I'm asking what you think. Do you think it is wrong that the Americans invaded Iraq? And let's just pretend for a second you're right, they enslaved people. Was that wrong?
I don't know exactly what Saddam Hussein he was doing. I don't know if he was in the right thing or his bad thing. Now, if Saddam Hussein he was criminal or something, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
So,
if the United States,
if we can justify the invasion of Iraq by saying Saddam Hussein is a criminal, can we define, say, the regime in Saudi Arabia or Qatar or
how can we define
Arab Emirates? Yeah, exactly. We've got to have a basis, and that basis has to be rooted on truth. It can't be relative, right? And the truth is within the Christian faith. It's in the glorification of the divine Trinity. This is where truth is. I know you don't.
Yeah, I don't believe in that, so I don't accept the standard that you're using to determine whether something is moral or immoral. So for me to accept that, we need to speak not just in 1 day or 2 days, we have to speak more than a month.
And I'm happy to talk to you, mate.
No, that's fine, but
Sorry, hay fever.
So if you invade the country to spread justice, I have no problem with it.
Great. So
if you invade the country to spread justice, I have no problem.
Great.
If you invade
so by this logic, the Islamists like yourself can't complain when we invade.
All Muslims are Islamists.
Yeah, no, not all Muslims, because I know Muslims that are not Islamists.
What do you mean by not Islamists?
In that they don't agree with what you're saying. I know
Muslims. If they
Muslims.
don't agree with me, then they disagree with the Quran, because the verse is very clear.
I agree with you. The Quran is very clear. I agree with you. You are representing Islam better than them. But I am telling you, I'm not saying you are. You're very honest. But what I'm saying to you is that I know lots of Muslims that are better human beings than you, in that they disagree. by the standard by a Christian standard.
I don't accept
Yeah,
it.
I know you don't, but I'm still saying these Muslims are better human beings than you,
Well, but that's
because
subjective, I understand.
because they wouldn't they agree with what Christ taught when he said that you should do unto others what you want done unto you, right?
But didn't Jesus?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If someone started a political party that said that we should enslave Muslim women, that we should, and that when we enslave them that they become war booty that we can rape, that we should stop the building of churches, that we should stop the building of mosques, that anyone who converts to Islam should be killed, that anyone who proselytizes Islam should be punished. Would you say that that is an Islamophobic party?
If that's what God exactly wants, I'm not going to say it's Islamophobic.
But that's not answering my question.
Are you?
No, you didn't. You gave a condition. I didn't ask
Of
you.
course.
I didn't ask you an if. I said, would you say that that is wrong if someone did that?
Yes, I would say it's wrong.
Right.
Based in Islamic teachings, I would say it's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is why my religion is superior to yours, because my faith teaches that the good that I want for myself is the good that I should try to get for you. Mm-hmm. So, I don't want to be enslaved. So I
don't want
would.
my sister
Oh,
to
I
be
would.
killed.
1 second. I don't want to be enslaved, so I don't want you to be enslaved.
Yeah.
I don't want my sister to get killed, so I don't want your sister to get killed. And the difference between my religion and you, and you've helped me do this wonderfully and demonstrate this wonderfully, is as clear as day. My religion is morally superior to yours in every conceivable way,
accept that.
because the good that I want for myself is the good that I should aspire for you to have.
I want that as well for you, but if someone...
No, you don't.
Just-
You want me to be a second-class citizen.
If you deserve to be, then yeah. Are you against killing criminals?
Not in every circumstance, no.
Yeah, so there is a situation, it's okay to kill a human being, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so if someone
Yeah.
deserves, I told you this idea of second-class citizen is a punishment.
For Christians.
And for Christians and,
And
the
Jews.
and Zoroastrians, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you create a religious. You believe in a religious apartheid, then, don't you?
That's a punishment.
Yeah. So you do believe in a religious apartheid, don't you?
What do you mean by religious?
Well, I mean, you've admitted it, but a religious apartheid is when one class of person is elevated above another class of person in terms of their legal rights, based upon their beliefs.
Yeah, but that belief is a crime. If you don't believe what Islam says, that's
Exactly.
a crime. That means it's a punishment.
Yes.
Because you believe that, like, let's say, for example, criminals, they should be killed or they should be put in jail, right?
Yes.
Now you are making apartheid of an action.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and to be clear, like I've established
And
some.
then you make
Yes, I've established something of a religious apartheid
just-
myself,
can
because I said that you should be punished for your beliefs. But let me be clear why I said that. I said that you should be punished for your beliefs because your beliefs are harmful to the world.
I believe your belief is harmful to the world.
Right. But in a real sense,
I believe
your beliefs will punish people, just because they are Christian.
No, they are not just.
I would not punish a Muslim. 1 second. I would not punish a Muslim just because they're a Muslim.
But you would be punishing an ISIS member.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, why?
Absolutely. Well, because ISIS have committed genocide against Christians. They forced all the
So
Christians
it's a
out
crime
of
what
mosques.
they do.
Yes.
Yeah, Muslims, they believe that if you don't believe in God, you don't worship
Yes.
God, you are a criminal and you will be punished. That's what we believe.
I know.
Yeah. So
But the
how
question
can you,
is,
how can you,
but the
how
question
can you-
is that within the Christian worldview, there are some punishments that are left to God, and there are some punishments that are left to the secular world. So when it comes to,
secular? Why not
let me,
Islamic?
well, firstly, Islam is false, but in
I
terms of,
believe that secularism is false.
in terms of the division, the reason why some punishments belong to God, it's because they are crimes uniquely against God. So you're not worshipping God, you're not following the truth. Because God wants you to enter into a relationship with Him lovingly and freely, the state should not punish you because of your beliefs. Because in our religion, God wants you to enter into a relationship with Him freely, and that means with love, or with love, and that
Give me a
means
second,
freely.
yeah?
Let me finish. However, your beliefs that you've advocated about religious apartheid, about invading Christian lands, about you know, discriminating
Not
against
just Christian
Christians.
lands,
Yeah, all lands. Yes. You're a very honest jihadi. But the point is that belief punishes people temporarily for crimes that are only against God. They're not against their fellow man. If a Christian believes and worships the Trinity, but say they never even tell anyone else, they're not committing a crime against any other human being. But you're saying you're going to punish them anyway in the secular world. And that's another reason why Christianity is superior to Islam, is because we make a distinction between crime secularum and crime spiritual. And crime spiritual are for God to judge alone.
Will Jesus not going to punish people in his second coming? Yeah, so why he will punish them here then?
Right, so in terms of punishing people in the secular world, we punish people in the secular world based upon the crimes that they do to their neighbour.
No, but Jesus, when he's coming
I'm talking
back,
about the Christian worldview here. This is what we
when
Christians
Jesus come
believe.
back,
He's going to judge, and he's going to judge people based upon their crimes against God.
well, yes, because if they don't believe in him.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
punishing people because of their
No,
beliefs.
Christ is going to punish. I'm not punishing
Yeah,
anyone.
but
I don't have
he's
the
not gonna
power.
do it by himself.
I don't have the power. No, Christ doesn't need anyone to send someone to hell.
Are you saying
He's
that-
going to send someone to hell because of the
Are
power,
you
the
saying that
authority
Jesus,
of
when
his
he's
word.
coming back, he will do it by himself?
Jesus, by the power of his word, will judge your soul and send it to hell or to
No,
heaven.
but there will be. I think in the book of Revelation, he explained what's gonna. I'm not. I didn't read the book of Revelation, but I know that in book of Revelation,
Yep.
he's gonna kill anyone does not believe him. He's gonna be killing him, and there will be, I think, a bath of blood or something.
This
And
is
he's not gonna do it by himself.
this is a discourse about the judgment. There's absolutely.
They're going to be killed here. And
That's
even
one way.
if
No. That's only one way that you can interpret the text. There are other ways to interpret that text, and that's only one way.
But I can do it. I can.
Yeah. It's within the latitude of interpretation, and there are Christians that have that interpretation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So I take that interpretation.
That's fine.
I can say you are
That's
a
fine.
danger as well to
Right.
the atheists. And
But
to the Hindus.
a Christian does not punish people based upon that revelational text.
They do. He's gonna kill them because they don't believe in him.
No.
Atheists, agnostics,
No.
Jewish,
No.
Muslims. What do you mean?
No, because Christians, unlike Islam, we can learn from our mistakes. We made this mistake in our past, right?
What do you mean?
So
Just
it is a
let's-
mistake
let's take
because
on
you
Jesus.
can't know someone's heart to judge it.
When Jesus
You can
come
only
back-
wait 1 second. You can only know someone's actions. You can't know their heart. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of someone's belief, you can't judge them based upon their belief.
But the actions.
How do you know that someone isn't a Christian out of ignorance?
By his actions and his
Wait,
saying.
is it if someone is a Christian out of ignorance because they don't know the truth of Islam and the light of Islam, they're only Christian because they're ignorant. Is it right to punish people for ignorance?
No. Before we.
Hold on 1 second. So,
cut me.
yeah, because there's a logic here. If we admit that there are some Christians who are only Christian because they're ignorant, but all Christians get punished because they're Christian, does that mean that you're punishing people who are ignorant?
No, before we ask in jizya or waging war, we invite people to Islam first. That's what first we do.
Yeah.
And then who is going to do that is the head of state. He's the one who decide where the.
But perhaps he makes a really bad representation of Islam.
Who?
The Caliph. Perhaps he makes a representation of Islam that's so bad that people just go, I can't believe that, because he didn't explain Islam properly. Are you saying that every Caliph is an expert in Islam?
They have to, because for you to be a caliph, you have to be an expert in Islam.
Well, unfortunately, considering the amount of Muslims that have rebelled against other Muslims and set up opposing caliphates, clearly even Muslims don't believe that historically.
What do you mean?
So you know and I know that Muslims have rebelled against Muslim caliphs and established other caliphs. So clearly your view that every Muslim caliph is an expert is not one that has been shared by Muslims historically.
No, it should be. I didn't say all of them.
Right, but exactly. So the point is, in a hypothetical, horrible situation where Islamists are in control,
Not just in Islam,
and the caliph is making a representation to Christians, perhaps he is ignorant of Islam and makes a bad representation. So if those Christians then reject a bad representation of Islam, have they rejected Islam or have they rejected a bad representation of Islam?
They reject a bad representation.
Right, so if they have rejected a bad representation of Islam, but the legality of being invited to Islam has been made, and they reject the bad representation of Islam and then are punished because they reject the bad representation of Islam, are they being punished because they're ignorant?
I would say yes.
Right.
would
And
say,
is it right or wrong to punish people who are ignorant?
No.
Right, so you have just admitted that in Sharia law there is injustice.
What?
If you can't follow the logic, bro, I'll lay it all out for you.
No, explain me why.
I'll explain it again. I'll explain it again. We'll do it point by point, really slowly, and I'll do it. I'm only going to do it one more time. Right. Point one. It is wrong to punish people out of ignorance.
I believe.
No, I'm representing this. I'm not asking for your commentary or your interjections. You have asked me to repeat my argument. I'm doing it. Point one. It is unjust to punish people out of ignorance. Point two. The position of the dhimmi is a punishment in Sharia law. Point three. There will be, amongst a large enough Christian population, Christians who are ignorant of Islam. Point four. It is possible that even when they have received dawah, they have received such bad dawah that they are not rejecting Islam, but they are rejecting a bad representation of Islam. Point five. Such people who reject the dawah, the invitation, are punished as dhimmi. Ergo, therefore, Sharia is punishing ignorant people. That is injustice.
No.
Right, go and explain why not.
Sharia does not punish injustice.
Ignorant people.
Ignorant people.
So explain where my logic was wrong.
That's the fault of the caliph. If the caliph is ignorant, okay, first of all, he shouldn't be there in the position at all.
No.
So what has Sharia to do with that? We cannot punish someone until we explain to him Islam. And for you to explain Islam, you have to be an
But if
expert.
if the caliph says, I've explained Islam to you, and he did a bad job, and they reject the bad job, would they be made a dhimmi? Answer that.
What do you mean? Say again?
I mean, the question was really clear.
I have to answer you properly because I don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah,
in my answer.
so let's
Say
do this again.
say again.
So if a caliph invites people to embrace Islam, but makes a bad job of the sales pitch, and some of the Christians reject the bad sales pitch, in the Sharia law, because let me finish, would they be made dhimmis?
So you mean that the caliph he
misrepresented Sharia law, and they reject the misrepresentation. Because they have been invited to Sharia law, would they be made dhimmis? Because they've received an invitation from the caliph to embrace Islam. Would they be made dhimmis?
Oh, a Christian is a dhimmi. If he pay the jizya, he's a dhimmi.
Yeah, that's not answering my question. Answer my question. In the situation I've described, which has followed all the things that you've laid out as necessary things.
Okay, I will answer. I understand it now. If I know that the caliph is wrong, I don't believe that the Christian is a dhimmi.
That didn't answer my question.
Yeah, I'm answering.
Yeah, but under Sharia law, would the caliph make them a dhimmi?
Yeah.
Right, so therefore, ergo, my argument stands, Islam commits injustice, and your own admission,
How?
your own confession shows that.
But how?
I literally laid it out for you, bro.
No.
You followed it. Did you follow the argument? He weren't even listening. Listening. Ask your viewers if they followed the argument.
That's the mistake of the caliph. What has Sharia law to do with the mistake of the caliph? For example, there is George Bush and Tony Blair. They done a mistake, yeah?
That's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
Right, because the example, I'll lay it out for you again, right? Look, brother, we've got you banged to rights. Muslims invade lands that aren't their own, they conquer people that aren't their own, and then they have a religious obligation to invite people to embrace Islam.
Now invite them before they invade them.
And when they've invaded them. Before they make them a dhimmi. That's what you actually said, bro. Unfortunately,
I didn't say that. That's what Islam said.
you literally did, and the camera shows that you did.
I didn't say that. Islam says that. Not
So, I mean, you can be as obtuse as you like, but
that's what Islam says, not me.
Exactly. So I'm not misrepresenting Islam, then, am I?
Yeah.
So why are you objecting?
No, you said
if I'm
that
not misrepresenting Islam, why are you objecting?
You said that Sharia,
other than to be obtuse.
Sharia, they punish innocent people, right?
Yes, and I've proven
How?
that. I've explained that to you.
That's not Sharia. That's the mistake.
Explain back to me what my argument was.
You said that if a caliph misunderstood the Sharia, for example, and imposed it to the dhimmis.
No, I didn't say that.
That's what you said.
No, I did not say that.
What did you say?
So you weren't listening.
So what did you say?
So let's do this again. Right? So if the caliph has conquered other people's lands, and before making Christians dhimmis, he invites them to Islam, but in the process of inviting them to Islam, he makes a bad representation of Islam that the people then reject because they're rejecting a bad representation of Islam, right? And they don't know any better.
But what do you mean?
The caliph will then make those people who are ignorant of Islam dhimmis, and being a dhimmi is a punishment, which means that the caliph and Islam are punishing ignorant people, and that is an injustice in Sharia law.
What do you mean by the caliph make bad decision about Islam?
You weren't even listening again.
He misinterpreted the verses.
A bad representation is what I said.
What do you mean by bad representation?
Like he just represents Islam badly. Fill that however you want. He misrepresents Islam. Like he doesn't teach it properly. Yeah, he teaches. It's something that makes the Christians think that they're going to enter into polytheism, and they reject it because they think they don't want to be polytheists. Because the caliph speaks in a bad way.
If the caliph is a bad way...
No, he speaks in a bad way.
No, if he speaks in bad way or he misinterpreted the verses, he thinks that, oh, this is the right thing, for example.
Yeah.
Okay? Definitely the Christians, they will be dhimmis and they have to pay the jizya.
Right, so that means that they're rejecting a bad representation of Islam, but you said that punishing ignorant people is unjust, and that means Sharia law is unjust because it is punishing people who may be ignorant.
What has Sharia law to do with this caliph?
I literally just explained it to you.
You didn't explain because
that's because you're being deliberately obtuse.
No, that's the mistake of the caliph. He misunderstood, for example, the Sharia law.
He misrepresented Sharia law is what I said.
He misrepresented.
And the people reject the misrepresentation.
No, do they know that what he's doing is wrong or not?
No, they don't. They're ignorant.
Okay.
So they don't know any better.
What has Sharia law to
But
do
because they reject his invitation, do they get made dhimmis? Yes.
Yeah, they will be.
Exactly. So, and is being a dhimmi a punishment?
It's a punishment.
Yes. Yeah. So therefore, ignorant people are being punished according to Sharia law, and you said that was unjust. Thank you very much.
I didn't say unjust because
you literally did. We have you on camera. This is what you just said. Or is it okay now to punish ignorant people?
No.
Right. So therefore, Sharia law by punishing ignorant people is an unjust law.
Where did Sharia says punish ignorant?
Because a person is being made a dhimmi because they are a Christian. But not every Christian understands Islam.
But that's the mistake of the caliph. He should
exactly. So why do the Christians get punished for it?
Yeah, you should ask the caliph then.
Exactly, but you're upholding the idea of their punishment, which means that you're upholding injustice. So Islam is injustice.
But caliphs, they punish even ignorant Muslims as well.
Yes, but the caliphs are punishing Christians for their ignorance of Islam.
Yeah, even the same thing. There is Muslims that are ignorant about Islam.
Yes, exactly.
And the caliph will punish
yes,
them.
but they are being punished because they're Christians.
Who?
The reason why they're punished is because they're Christians.
But Christianity is a crime. Are you aware of that? Because believing God had a son is a crime.
I know that Islamists believe that, and so I'm working within your logic.
All Muslims believe in that.
I agree. I agree. Islam teaches that, but not all Muslims are as bad as Islam. There's a lot of Muslims that are better than Islam, and they don't agree with you. And I know that they don't agree with you because I've drank with them, I've sat with them, I've ate with them, I've dated them, and they would argue that you are not a good Muslim. I mean, you are a better Muslim than them, but they would argue you're not.
If a Muslim,
by contrast, they're a better human being than you.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go on.
If a Muslim says that someone believing God had a son is not a crime, he's not a Muslim. Yeah, he's not a Muslim. Because to say that someone believing God had a son is okay, then he's not a Muslim. Maybe he said it out of ignorance.
No, they would say, yeah. But my point is, I think we've established that Islam teaches injustice, and I've not heard a defense from you. I literally laid out the evidence for you.
That's the injustice of the caliph. It has nothing to do with Islam.
No, so why are they made dhimmis?
Huh?
Why are they made dhimmis?
I already told you, it's a punishment because of the disbelief.
And is that the teaching of Islam?
Yeah.
Right, so it is because of Islam that they made dhimmis.
Yeah. Islam
there you go.
Says if you refuse to pay the
like
jizya,
everyone can see this except this guy.
What is injustice here? I don't understand.
The point is you're so keen to defend Islam that you've switched off logic. You're so keen. You're so keen to defend Islam that you literally agree with all the premises of the argument, but then disagree with the logical
Okay, you said
conclusion.
logic.
So you switch off logic to defend Islam.
Okay, logic by what standard? What standard?
Logic
do you
is
use to determine
logic is its own standard.
Okay, is it logical to own human being as a property?
No.
Did Jesus support it? Did Jesus condemn this?
Yes, he did.
Where?
I'll show you.
Show
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. He actually said that he's come to set them free.
Because I read Paul and I read Peter.
No, this is Jesus' words.
Yeah, so Paul is not.
This is Jesus' words,
and-
not
and
Paul's.
we
I'm
don't
not quoting Paul. Of course I accept Paul.
So Paul, he says that.
Why do you? Can I ask you a question? You know I'm a Christian.
I know.
You know I accept Paul. So why are you asking silly
Okay, so
questions?
why don't accept
Wait,
Paul when he
why
says-
are you asking silly
Because
questions?
you give me silly answers.
No, hold on. What was silly about saying the words of
Paul
Jesus?
himself, he says that
No,
the slave
I
has
said.
to obey his master.
I said Jesus said this. Listen.
So Paul contradicts Jesus.
No, he doesn't.
So what did you mean by one?
Yeah,
Paul
well,
says
we
that
can
slave
explore
obey
that.
his master?
We can explore
because I
that.
get the verse here. It says
We can
that
explore that.
slave obey his master. And
We
there
can
is
explore that.
nowhere in the
We
Bible
can
says
explore that. Right? So. Jesus says these words. This is Jesus speaking. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives. Now, who were the captives? They were the slaves. So Jesus is saying what? He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives. So what if the captives?
He released them.
1 second. If the captives are slaves and Christ has been sent to proclaim release to the captives, what does that mean logically? Can you do logic?
It says that I'm coming to free the slaves.
Let's do this slowly, right? Because I'm starting to think you can't think logically, right?
Someone-
it
come on, just a
says,
sec, just
it
a
says,
second. So you
he
believe
has
God
sent,
had
right?
Son and you
He
think
has
that's
sent,
logical.
he has sent me
Come on,
to
man.
proclaim release to the captives.
You believe God had a son and you claim this is
Your
logic.
Allah says that if God has a son, he's worthy of
I
worship.
told you.
Your
This is my
Allah
homework.
says that.
I told you
Exactly.
this is
So
my
don't
homework.
comment on something until you've done
No,
your homework.
You believe in that, right?
Yes, of course.
And you believe
Of
that's
course,
logic.
God has a son.
You believe that's logic?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And
That's
you
what
can't
that's
even
your logic.
reply because you don't even
told
know
you
what your
this is my
Quran says.
homework. I told
Yes,
you this is my
exactly.
homework. Did they
So
claim that I'm knowledgeable
don't try to
person?
brass commentary
No,
until you've done your
making
homework.
commentaries because
Yeah.
what I understand from this verse.
So,
did
let's
he condemn slavery? Did he say slavery is wrong, like the
Right.
Ten Commandments?
Let's think.
murder is wrong?
Let's think about what he says. Let's think about what he says.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. Let's think about it. I just want this for me is a test to see if you can do any logic at all. Right.
What your last one
So-
talks about logic.
He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives. Now the captives were the slaves, you know that, right? Right. So if Jesus has said that he's been sent to proclaim release to the captives, what does that mean?
This means that he comes to free slaves.
Thank you.
Yeah. He says slavery is wrong.
No, but he's come to proclaim release to captives, hasn't he?
Yeah, but is it an obligation? Do they have to free slaves?
Yes, and this
Where
is
is the evidence
so.
for
So I'll give you evidence. I'll give you evidence. So all the way through Christian history, for 2,000 years, even from the earliest times, Christians have been setting slaves free.
And they enslave
And
as well.
actually, Christians have ended the slave trade multiple times in history. Do you know the
But
first?
they took
do you,
slaves
Do you know?
to
Yes, they
Christians.
did. Because
why they took slaves?
Because that's a fair question. I'll give you a fair answer. Because economic structures that are sinful.
that's
no,
just
allow me
your-
to. No,
that's
allow
your
me.
understanding,
So
yeah?
sorry, I'm going to answer your question. So it's undeniable by anyone who's read a book that slavery is a result of slavery arises out of war and poverty. That's where it comes from, war and poverty. So Christians have taken slaves because they have not always been deep in the religion of the faith. They've been more cultural than Christian. I'll give you an example. The Saxons in England used to keep slaves up to the 10th century. When the Normans in 1066 conquered England, because their understanding of the faith was better than the Saxons, when they conquered England, bearing in mind that that was blessed by the Pope for precisely this reason, they banned slavery in 1068. And that was the first time slavery was banned in England. There's been but because of economic powers And particularly because of the influence of Islam in Andalusia and Portugal, slavery was reintroduced. Even though slavery was abolished in the whole of Europe by the 5th century, except amongst pagans. 5th century. Yes, I know, it's shocking, right? But Christians actually abolished slavery in the 5th century in the Roman Empire.
Is there any text there that it says that you are not allowed to own human being as a slave, the way he says? Because in the Bible, the Ten Commandments says you are not allowed to kill, you are not allowed to fornicate. Does any verse says that you are not allowed to own?
No, there's no verse that that says you cannot own a slave. However, when
so
Christ,
now let's come to interpretation.
But when Christ, who is my master, when Christ, who is my teacher, when Christ, who is my God, says that he has come to set slaves free, logically, well, how do you think I might respond to that teaching?
The way I understand it, that it didn't say anything that you shouldn't own human beings.
But that didn't answer my question.
I mean, it's good to free slave.
That didn't answer.
I'm answering.
Yeah, go on, answer my question.
That's how I understand it.
Right.
I understand it that it's a good thing to free slave, but it doesn't mean that you are not allowed to own a slave.
Brilliant.
Because Paul, he says, that slave, he has to obey his master.
Right, now, let's go a bit further then. Because this is one of the reasons...
Do you understand my answer?
Yes, I understand your answer. But this is another reason why Christianity is superior to Islam.
There is no evidence for it.
So the first reason is...
if I'm a Christian, I will own human beings as a slave.
So the first reason is that Islam institutes injustice. We've evidenced that.
There is no evidence for it.
We have people can make their own minds up. Anyone who's watching this...
I don't believe in that.
People can make a decision for themselves. But let's read this, okay? So this is another reason why Christianity is better than Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, because we see, bear with us, right? Okay. Bear with us. Where's the passage I'm looking for?
And the list one I have to go, yes. So tell me this one I have.
Okay, we'll stop after this one. We'll stop after this one. I'll be as quick as I can.
Yeah.
Bear with me, please. Bear with us, there's a lot to...
So what's the name of your channel?
This channel is called Soko Films. My channel is called Bob of Speaker's Corner.
Which one is recording?
Revelation 22 and Soko Films are recording.
Soko Films.
One of them is Soko Films.
Would
one
you
of
cut
them.
The video?
Why would I cut the video?
I just asked.
No, I wouldn't cut the video. Definitely not for an Islamist.
Okay.
I don't believe you deserve protection.
I don't what?
I don't believe you deserve protection.
I don't believe you deserve protection.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me the last thing I have.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull it up. Bear with us 1 second. Be quicker if I just find it here. Right. So, in Galatians 3:28. In Galatians 3:28, it says this, and this is... says this. 3:28. It says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free man, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So here, Paul is abolishing slavery. He's saying there are no slaves.
And if you belong to Christ, then you are Abrahamist, being done there according to the promise. But before the faith comes, we are kept in custody under the law, being shepherded into the faith.
It teaches against it in the New Covenant, yeah.
Which one is that?
So that's in Galatians 3,
okay, then this
verse
is my
28.
homework again.
Yeah, have it.
Yeah,
now I can actually show you a direct application of how Paul applies that very teaching.
Didn't, because there is a verse. He says a master, slave has to obey his master.
Yes, there is that verse. There is that verse.
Yeah. And the verse you show me that Jesus said, like, I'm to free slaves.
Yes,
that doesn't mean that I don't understand.
So the reason why Paul said slaves have to obey their masters is because he doesn't have the power to abolish slavery, but there are Christians who are slaves.
Yeah. So Christianity endorsed slavery.
But Paul also instructs slaves that if you can, get your freedom. Are you aware of that?
Look,
are you aware of that?
The idea that you can get free, that doesn't mean that is banned or is wrong.
So I've shown you where Christ says, "I have come to set slaves free."
Not an evidence that
I've shown you where Paul says there are no slaves in Christ. Paul also instructs slaves to gain their freedom if they can. Christianity is clearly an anti-slavery religion.
No, it's not. Because
it clearly is. Well, you've got to provide your evidence. Provide your evidence.
Well, you have to provide evidence because
I literally have.
I told you this is.
I literally have.
This is mean better if you want to be slave free.
But let me ask you this question: is under Sharia law, can you own a slave?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And have Muslims owned and bought and sold slaves for 1400 years?
They did, yeah.
Yep. And who stopped Muslims from owning slaves?
It was the United Nations.
There you go.
They imposing their laws on the Muslims.
Look, the one thing that I do, you know, the one thing that I really do respect about you is in this entire conversation, you have been 100% honest, and I do respect that.
I am.
But I still think you should be deported. I still think your children should be taken off you. I still think that you should be banned from this country.
I believe that you should pay the jizya as well.
Even if I'm ignorant?
Yeah?
Even if I'm ignorant of Islam?
If you would explain you Islam.
Yeah, but what happens if you explain it badly?
And if I am ignorant about the British Constitution.
But if I explain it badly, should I still be made a dhimmi?
Yes.
There you go. So he says on one hand, punishing ignorant people is a crime, but he says on the other hand that Christians should still be made dhimmis even if they're ignorant of Islam. So Islam institutes injustice.
No, I already explained to you. I told you this is a mistake of the Caliph.
What's your name, bro?
Is why?
Why are you afraid to give your name?
The moment you says you will be deported and your children they will take away.
I hope they do deport you. I really do.
I hope that the Muslims they will take the world over.
I know you do.
The jizya.
I know you do. And this is why Christians need to wake up. That we have to organize ourselves to oppose these people. We have to oppose them.
Impose the disbelievers as well because your belief.
Have you ever actually read a Bible?
Yeah, I read some of it.
Have you got a Bible?
I have, yeah.
Right. Here's my encouragement. You're going to read Ephesians.
No, I'm not going to
read. You're going to read Galatians. You said it's my homework.
I will read that one of.
Yeah, read Galatians and then come back and talk to me again.
Next week, if I'm here.
Yeah, we'll talk again.
I will hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.